Sports nutrition or nutrition during a race or an important training session is a very, very personal choice. And as an athlete, I have looked for the right product for a long time, since my cycling days, because I have a stomach that's very sensitive to a lot of the overly processed sports nutrition. Most gels, chews, bars generally will upset my stomach. And the drink mixes, while I can consume those, they have another problem where I just don't like the flavor. I'm very sensitive to flavors as well. At best, I can stomach maybe a lemon lime, but anything beyond that, I don't want it when I'm in a hard workout or hard race. So when I found Maurten a few years ago, again, back in my cycling days, I was ecstatic because the product doesn't bother my stomach, it doesn't have a taste, and it works extremely well. This is actually a video I've wanted to make for some time, but I don't generally have all of the Maurten products that I need, or do I generally use them? I only really use them in builds for a specific race, mostly half and marathon races. And where I live in Taiwan or just traveling in general, I often just can't get access to Maurten because sometimes I just can't get it in the country I'm in, or I have to import it. It's a whole process, and I just don't always have it, and I don't always need it, because if I'm just doing normal running, I don't need sports nutrition. I don't need gels when I'm out running. Water or an electrolyte drink is totally fine. But in those key builds for a key race, that's where gels are really important to get the stomach used to how it's going to feel when you're actually in the race. So it's a big part of the training build that I do for an A race. Again, especially longer races like a half marathon or a full marathon. And this build's been no different. And I finally have all of the products that I need, so I figured it's a good time to actually talk about them. Now, I'm going to talk about these products from my perspective as a runner. I'm not going to get into the science, but I will put a couple links in the description of this video that goes into Maurten's FAQs as to what these products are and why they're different. But what I will say is that they're made from very simple, natural-based ingredients, and there's only like 5 or 6 ingredients for most of these products. They don't have preservatives, they don't have a ton of colorings, they don't have flavoring agents, they don't have any of the junk that a lot of other sports nutrition has. And I'm using that word in a positive way because a lot of other sports nutrition is using very simple candy-based like sugars, where Maurten's using something a little bit different, and it affects me much more directly, but it doesn't hurt my stomach. And that's really the key thing. I first started using Maurten, I think maybe 5-6 years ago as a cyclist, first with their drink mixes. This was the very first product I started using, the Drink Mix 160. Now, the drink mix comes in a 160 and a 320. Now, the 160 is really how many calories are in this packet. So 160 is, 160 calories in this packet, 320, so on and so forth. They go into the same amount of water, which is a standard bottle size that will go on a bike. So this was always my go-to product because, again, as a cyclist, you have bottles, and I can put this in my bottle, and I usually had one of these, and the second bottle is usually just plain water. And this always worked for me. And it was sort of a revelation when I found this because, again, it didn't affect my stomach. Now, when I say these things, sports nutrition often affects my stomach, what I would get is, I think, some sort of bloating. I wouldn't ever feel nauseous. I wouldn't have other problems, but I would get that bloated, heavy feeling that I think's coming from all the fructose sugar, like all the very sort of candy-like sugars that are in a lot of sports nutrition. And it would just bloat me out, especially if I had 1 or 2 of them, which often on a long ride, I would actually need 1 or 2 bottles of Maurten for, say, 4, 5, 6 hour ride. Now, the Maurten never bothered me, but other drinks would. And it was really nice to find that product that felt simple. I could feel it hit my body. When I drank it, within a few minutes, I could feel the carbohydrates. I could feel the energy. It was a very clear feeling, much quicker than a lot of other products that I tried. And it just worked. It fit everything that I needed. So when I quit cycling and I started preparing for my first race as a runner, I started to wrap my head around, okay, what does sports nutrition mean as a runner? Obviously, I don't have a bike. I can't put bottles on my bike. I'm not going to run with bottles. I'm not going to run with a trail vest for road running. I'm not going to put a bladder on. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. And I don't want to be necessarily at the mercy of whatever sports drink is at the race. So I looked at a lot of other options. Now, I had tried gels as a cyclist, but I didn't really need them, again, because I had bottles and I could drink. Any gels that I tried on the bike, I always got a very bloated feeling from just all the processed sugars in them. Or if I used chews or any other of the candy-like sort of sports nutrition, I just always had problems. So when I found this gel, this is the Gel 100, sort of, I think, the original Maurten Gel that they came out with. They do make a 160. So this is 100 calories. The 160 is 160 calories. This has 25 grams of carbs in it. So when I found this as a runner, this was really great, because the other problem with gels that I had tried, especially, the other ones that have all the candy-like flavors, is I'm very sensitive when I'm running and doing any sort of physical activity to taste. I just don't like that coated feeling that you get from a lot of other sports nutrition. Or if I had a candy bar during a race or during a run, it just coats your mouth, and it coats your mouth with the flavoring, which I just don't like. Additionally, once it coats your mouth with that flavor, there's also sort of that processed candy-like sugary feel in your mouth, the mouth feel of the gels. I didn't like that. I'd end up just spitting and like the whole time to try to get it out of my mouth, both the flavor and the feeling of it. With these, there is no flavor. There is no flavoring agent to this. You can put whatever you want into it. I never put anything into them, especially the drink mix, but this doesn't have a flavor. The only flavor I could say this has is a mildly sweet flavor. And more importantly, the mouthfeel of this, it does coat your mouth. It does, cover your mouth, but it goes away very quickly. Within, I would say, a couple minutes, it's gone. And if I just sort of, swish my spit around in my mouth and spit out right after I have it, then I can really get rid of it quickly, but I still get the bulk of the carbohydrates, the 25 grams of carbs that are in this, because I've already swallowed the gel. So that was a huge game changer for me when I found that, because I was trying some other gels, because I actually didn't think to look at Maurten gels for whatever reason, and they all were giving me the same problems. When I found this one, it was great. I was so happy. Now, the other gel that I depend on is this. This is the Gel 100 plus CAF 100. So there's still the 100 calories in this with 25 grams of carbs, but it has 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is about, 1 cup of black coffee. Now, I am a heavy coffee drinker. I love coffee. And this one I don't necessarily need, because, again, before a race, I'm generally going to drink my morning coffee, as I do every morning. So I'm getting my caffeine load, but I will carry both of these in a race. And I'll alternate them, where I'll start with just the Gel 100. And I'll do a gel every hour or maybe every 8K or so. I've tried both strategies. So I'm trying to get about 30 to 40 grams of carbs per hour, which is generally, I think, on the low end of what's recommended. But I'll do one of these and then maybe alternate one of these, then do one of these, maybe alternate one of these. And after about 3/4 way of a race, I will do the last one of a caffeine. And if I do a gel after that, I'll just do the normal Gel 100. Now, the caffeine gel hits like a truck. And again, I'm a heavy coffee drinker. I drink a lot of coffee. I'm very kind of immune to caffeine, but this hits like a truck. So if you don't drink a lot of caffeine or you're very sensitive to caffeine, I wouldn't go anywhere near this. This hits harder than a lot of other caffeine sports nutrition that I've tried. I've had some chews that had caffeine in them, which I actually kind of liked. I can't get them anymore. They're a Taiwanese brand, but those didn't hit me anywhere as hard as this. And this will hit me harder than just a cup of coffee in the morning. And I do pour over. I mean, I'm into my fancy coffee and all that stuff. This again will hit like a truck. So if you want to try this, be very careful with it, but it does work a charm. It is outstanding if you need that little extra sort of kick and alertness, which this definitely provides. And lastly, this is something new, and I've been wanting to try this for some time, but being in the States, I managed to get one, I think one of the last boxes of this that was on the Maurten.com site, because they've been gone for the past couple of weeks. And I'm glad I did, because what this is their new product. This is a solid, this is a bar. It's essentially an oat bar. I would describe this as something like a Rice Krispie treat with oatmeal in it. Again, it doesn't taste like that, but it has a great texture. And I will do this a couple hours before a workout. And I've done 3 workouts now where I preloaded about 3 hours before the workout with this and my normal coffee. And it's been great. And it doesn't bother my stomach. Usually if I have something with oat or like bread or something that close to a workout, within 2 to 3 hours of a very hard workout, I'll get some stomach problems. Again, gas, a little nausea. It's never caused any real problems, but I just don't want that when I'm running. But this hasn't bothered me at all. And the other perk about this is that I actually really like the taste. And there is no taste. It's, again, more of a mouthfeel. This is like the best Rice Krispie treat I've ever had, and it doesn't feel like a lot of junk. Additionally, with the solids, they actually make the Solid C. Now, this is the same product, except the C stands for cocoa. So this is a mild, I'm going to call it cocoa flavor. It's not even really chocolate. It's a very mild flavor. And as far as I know, this is the first Maurten product that has a flavor to it. But I don't like this one as much as the base one. But this one actually, if you like a little kind of cocoa flavor, like hot cocoa flavor, not like a candy bar flavor or like a breakfast bar, but more like a really light hot cocoa, this one really works. So this is a slightly cocoa oatmeal Rice Krispie bar. But again, the solid bars, these have been great. I actually really love these, and they're one of the best tasting or best mouth feeling things beyond just sports nutrition that I think I've ever had. I really love these things. Now, like all Maurten stuff, they're expensive, but again, if I'm running in, expensive shoes and it's an A race, then I don't care what I'm spending on this stuff. I just want the stuff that I know is going to work for me and not bother my stomach. And that's key with sports nutrition for me. Now, Maurten does make a few other products, specifically drink mixes. They do, like I said earlier in the video, they make 320s. So that means there's 320 calories. And I think that means there's 80 grams of carbs in the 320 mixes. But the reason I buy the 160 mix is that if I want the 320, I'll just take 2 of these and I'll put them in a bottle as opposed to just one. I find one is generally good for preloading in a workout. I generally won't take a drink mix out to a workout. I'll just take normal standard water, but I will take one of these out to a workout. So I will take a Gel 100 or the Gel Calf 100 out to a workout. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you found this type of content useful, consider subscribing and see more content like this pop up in your feed. If not, drop a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.